Hi, welcome to Larnswick. My name's Pete. Let's start from the very beginning before we even laid any track. One of the programs we've used during the design of Larnswick has been AnyRail. Just a trial version. It allows you to use so many pieces. And the great thing about this is while I've been unable to work on the layout, I've been able to at least imagine it and visualise it, which for me personally is quite important. And I found it really good, and I've heard people say, oh, once you're onto it, it's addictive, and it's become that way with me as well in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's really good, and some of the things, this is our layout, as I was saying before. It's only just over 1 metre wide by, it all depends whether you look at it with which way you look at it, by just over 2 metres, because these are standard board sizes from the old MDF from the local hardware store. So yeah, it's 3 sheets actually, 4 sheets and a little bit. These are little bits on the end, so it's 3 sheets and a little bit on the end. It's in our bedrooms. I'll show you later. It's in the spare bedroom. That's the only available space we've got in the house. It's only a small bungalow in North Wales, so it's the best space we can use, really. I've made it so it's removable, so it's actually along a wall here, along here and here, but it's on casters. The whole table's on casters with storage underneath, so it can actually slide out. One of the really good, interesting things is with this for me is that you can actually show buildings as well. These are standard platforms. That's a Metcalf goods shed, of which we've got on the layout at the moment. And things I like is being able to manipulate flexi-track and move it around and put it to where you'd like, and it changes colour and status if you've gone too long or too short, or even if your curve's too tight, it'll throw a line up. As here, for instance, saying you've got the curve too tight, you can set your maximum radius and your minimum radiuses and your length and what have you, and you can actually just remove bits of track, add something else there. You can go back, you can go forward. There's the track libraries is amazing. The amount of different tracks you can add to it. One of the things we've done is actually added a tramway atomics. A wide tramway in the concrete look along here, and the really good thing is that we can actually go to end gauge if you like, and its atomics is here, and then you can put the wide tram track, so you can put sections of that down, and there's the sections we've used. So for instance, you could just we'll just drag a curve in, and we can put that, and then our tramway actually runs from here through the town and down and stops here. Just an added feature as part of our 009 section of the track, again, which is more what I'll talk about later, is that we've got the main 00 gauge running round, but I've also made track that integrates the narrow gauge, if you like, within the 00, which comes down through the quayside and will meet up with the tramway here. And as I say, the tramway will run through town and do that. Your imagination's your limit, isn't it, with something like this? It's totally fictitious, but it's been so surprising. I said, oh, it's totally fictitious, and then next thing, before you know it, we'll be looking through a book or be watching a YouTube video, and you'll say, oh, actually we're doing that. It did exist. It's all about fun, isn't it? For me, it's not being, as that word that people use, prototypical. It's nice to have some things that are actually practical and would work and might have worked in the real world, but it's also nice to let your imagination roam and you be there pre-Mr. Beeching, if you like, Dr. Beeching, should I say, and what you'd have done, and if it was your own. And we went up to Scotland over the New Year, and we drove around, and you could see disused and private railway lines, and that really was what stoked our imagination. And then when the COVID-19 crisis come around, found ourselves with time on our hands and thought, well, look, we've got all the bits, we've got all the pieces, and let's get stuck in. That's myself and Jay, my wife, and She's done an awful lot of great model making, both scratch building and from card kits and the likes of Super Quick and Metcalf, and scale model scenery, and downloaded some and created and made it. It's there's some great resources out there online. I don't know what we used to do now without computers and before we're online, but it's really helped us in this hobby. So that's just a brief insight to any rail. It's a trial version, so it's free, and yeah, I've really enjoyed using it, and that was really the impetus for what we wanted to do. So I'll show you some of the things in a minute that we've implemented over on the track. The track is very, very basic at the minute. We're just literally, we haven't even put it down to the ballasting yet or anything, so that's the stage we're at. There's hundreds of videos out there, people showing you how to do it. I don't intend doing that. I just want to be a little bit different in respect to some of the ways we've gone about things on a shoestring. So yeah, let's go over to the circuit. Circuit, you see, X-racing driver, it's circuit, it's a track, Pete, it's a track or a layout. So you see it over there. So where we are on our first glimpse of Larnswick. So it was part of where we've integrated the narrow gauge into the standard gauge in our case. So we're now over the raised section. There's some of the Greatomics track I was referring to before. That's going to be cut into that green board you see there. So coming round to the other side now, that's the raised section. So I'd like to talk, as we mentioned before, about the power and control at Larnswick. We've got various methods of doing it on a budget, on a shoestring if you like. So this is our first mock-up. We put some of the buildings and structures on that we've already got to try and see where everything's going to lie. So far it's looking really good. I'm really pleased. So we're using an old computer power supply unit. Ignore the wiring at the moment, that's all needs tidying up and everything, and the chock blocks are getting swapped out for something else. As I say, this is all prototype at the minute. That's a servo tester there, that's a voltage output. Again, these are test things, and that there then is our row of USB ports we've just put in to be able to power our Arduino devices. So we've there got a Mega, which is the main controller if you like, that's fitted to the board, and then in here we've got ESP8266 microcontrollers in effect connected to motor output boards. And so what that's doing is taking the 3 or the 5 volts down to 3, doing the control, and then the power's coming out via the 12 volt motor control board below the chip there if you like. We're using servo controls for the points, so small servos mounted on little ply or MDF brackets underneath. So that's the reason the servo's tested for this quick demo. Just showing you how little sweep is required to open and shut points. You can see the points there opening and closing. Sorry about the shadows, but you can see how little sweep's actually required. Those two are on the same output, so you can see there's very little movement required to flick the points over. But we use more of a sweep than that to average the wear across the servo, and because the slack's taken up by piano wire, it works well. You know, it really does work well for us. We've also written a small program using an app called Blink, which enables us to control it via laptop, mobile phone, PC, Raspberry, anything really. Arduino is the main controller we're using, and our server is a Raspberry. So there's that's our speed control if you like, and that's our direction. These are all the points. I'll put the tram and town and the smaller gauge stuff on a separate page. As I say, more than one person can operate this at a time, so it's really interesting that you can use both alongside. So in effect it's the old analog versus digital and both working together, so it's really good. There's a Wemos D1 Mini which powers our lighthouse unit, which simulates a rotating beacon in a lighthouse. So that's just a simple little program of flashing LEDs, but it really looks effective. I'll show you that in a future video hopefully. So that's the power and control for now. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been our first video. So please subscribe and like. I was going to say share, but like this video, please, and hopefully it'll give us the impetus to produce some more. And if there's any questions, please just ask, not a problem.